Welcome to Devlog 5 of Astro, a multiplayer first-person shooter in zero gravity. In this video, I created the first fully rigged character for my game, so let's get into it. So if you're not familiar with 3D modeling, there's a lot that goes into making a character. I actually started the process long ago by making these concept art sketches of different features that I wanted. To guide my design, I considered questions like what would the propulsion system for the character be, or how would they get oxygen, just stuff like that. Then I created this sculpt, which I revealed in the last devlog, and this sculpt took around 10 hours to make, and it was one of my second full character sculpts that I've ever created. Next came the remesh process, which took several days. See, 3D models are made up of many little triangles, and generally the more triangles you have, the less performant the game will run. So sculpts are really fast to make, but they come at the cost of having way too many triangles. And you can see this sculpt has 3.5 million triangles, so that just would be horrible to run in-game. To remedy this, I had to go through the process of remeshing. And so this is where you create a low poly model that still captures most of the details of the original model. I hated remeshing since it felt like a massive chore and it took the majority of development time last week, but it's just something that has to be done. Next up was rigging. So normally a 3D model doesn't really move on its own and the position of the triangles are fixed. So in order to animate a mesh, you need to rig it. Rigging involves creating a skeleton full of bones, where each bone will have control over different groups of triangles. This is how we get animated meshes. The first thing I had to do was choose my skeleton. For various reasons, I won't be using Unreal Engine's default mannequin skeleton, and this is mainly just because I want more control over animations and performance, since I really want my game to be playable on low-end devices. I settled on this skeleton convention, which is basically the absolute minimum requirement of the number of bones to still achieve full body control. Next came the tedious process of weight painting. So, like I mentioned, each bone controls a group of triangles, but you have to manually choose which triangles you want to be controlled by which bones. And there is an automatic way to do this, but it's riddled with so many problems, and it's really only good for a starting point. So you can see here, like, there's a ton of different vertices that are still moving in really strange ways that don't look natural at all. So yeah, I had to just go through and kind of weight paint each section. It's called weight painting, choosing the different bones for the different vertices. And this was definitely a learning experience because some of the details I added to the character really didn't hold up well in the weight painting process. And you can see just like odd stretching and compression in places that just don't look natural. And so it's really gonna guide my design for the next character. So moving on, it was time to color or shade the character. And so in this step, I actually reused some of the materials from the map creation process. And I really realized that to just achieve a consistent art style, one of the biggest things you can do is honestly just reuse materials. It just kind of gives everything the same sort of feel to it. And yeah, I've kind of been sticking with this sort of medium poly default PBR style, like sort of semi-realistic, but still a little bit gamey, and I think it works well for the game for now. So another thing is that I've also started to kind of learn various aspects of color theory, and one of the most important factors that I'm going to take into account in this design is that all character models should be brightly lit, and the map should kind of be low and desaturated colors. So like in color theory, another way to define a color other than like red, green, and blue is HSV, which is hue, saturation, value, and value is sort of like brightness. And so you can pick hue is just like color. You can pick whatever color you want for any object in the game, but you should choose more desaturated and lower value colors for the background and really increase saturation and increase value for things you want the player to draw attention to. And so if I make all my character models have high value, high saturation colors, then they'll be way more easily distinguished as enemies on your screen as opposed to like the background. And yeah, this just really helps to have clarity in gameplay of like what you should focus on, just guides the player's eyes more easily. So yeah, this is the final render of the character, and yeah, I was pretty happy with it. So after getting all my materials to look good, I baked everything into a PBR texture and or multiple PBR textures, and this is just to increase performance in the engine. And this process was pretty easy since I had to do like way more complicated bakes for my map design, so I kind of already had this down, which is nice. Um, then finally, after the character looked and felt the way I wanted it to, I had to move it from Blender to Unreal Engine. So everything you've seen now was made in Blender, which is 3D modeling software, but to actually play with the character, I needed to put it into Unreal Engine, which is the game engine I'm using. So yeah, I thought the export process would be easy, but I was sorely mistaken. I literally spent over 5 hours just trying to export everything correctly, and I was so frustrated with this process. I was literally banging my keyboard, just so annoying. And I literally followed every tutorial I could find, and I just, for some reason, was always getting incorrect results. Just had weird root bone problems, but finally I got lucky with just checking random boxes and trying literally every setting, and finally something worked. So yeah, I just made sure to obviously screenshot all those settings, and I'm just gonna paste those in the next time I do this process because I'm not going through that again. So once the mess was finally in the engine, everything was there. There was still just some setup I had to do to make it compatible with my project. So I was supposed to create a control rig, and this would allow me to simplify animations. A control rig is kind of like this thing you make with sort of some pseudo node-based code that allows you to more easily move bones with different, what they call control points. And I was gonna make this because I had already made one of these for my Unreal Engine mannequin to make animations in Engine, but I ended up scrapping this because I was just having annoying difficulties with different like IK controls, and I wasn't gonna. This was right after doing the whole export process, so I was not gonna go through like another 5-hour session of misery. So I decided to just make some raw animations, and I didn't put too much effort into it. Because these won't be final, as you'll see in a minute, but I still ended up getting some decent results. And another thing I did was I set up the physics asset for the skeleton. So this is really cool. This allows you to enable ragdoll, and I love physics ragdolls, especially zero gravity ragdolls. It's such a cool and free way to get an elimination animation, and yeah, I just think they're really cool, especially for like in this game. So after that, I was basically done with creating my new character for Astro. And yeah, I know what you're probably thinking, like it still looks grossly unfinished, and just because I didn't fully animate the character, so like, the position of the gun just looks kind of ridiculous right now. Like everything just doesn't look that polished. And this is true, but so I actually don't plan to use this as the final character in my game. So next week, I'm actually going to make an entirely new character that will serve as sort of the foundation of Astro, and I'll be calling it the Astro Mannequin, kind of similar to Unreal Engine's Mannequin. And I know what you're thinking, like this seems like kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step backward, but this week was actually sort of a test run of just feeling out the entire character creation pipeline and making sure like I was familiar with every step so that I wouldn't hit any speed bumps along the way that would cause me to have to like alter my design. And I actually got way better results than I was thinking. Like, and honestly, art-wise, I think this is good for the game. Like, I'm happy with this art style, and I will probably adapt this character in the future to still actually be in the game because I'm not going to waste this whole model I spent all this time working on. But importantly, I want to reiterate over the skeleton of the character because, see, there's going to be many different characters and skins for the game, just that you can change. But the key is that they all share the same skeleton, and this means that they can all share the same animations. And so my goal is to just spend a lot of time, and I'm not going to take lightly the process of choosing the right skeleton so that I can have a really solid foundation for animations. And yeah, that's why I wanted to make extra sure that I had this process down right. And this mannequin I'm going to create next week is not going to be like visually appealing, but it's just going to serve as a way to easily make animations so I can do all the base stuff for this mannequin and then transfer them onto just any character I want to. So yeah, I'm just taking basically just a little bit extra time to get a really solid animation core for my game, and then I can just crank out content, crank out new skins, and they'll all be compatible and they'll have just really good looking animations. So that's kind of my thought process for making this sort of extra long journey to finish this section. But hopefully, like in a week or two, all the animations will be looking really smooth and polished up. And yeah, that'll definitely just increase the feel of the game way more. So yeah, I'm glad you made it to the end of this video. And I hope you found it insightful to just see sort of the game dev process, especially just like art creation. I know lately I've just been doing all art creation, which is kind of funny because when I got into this, I thought I'd just be coding the whole time. But I sort of like it, sort of don't. I don't know, but I have to do it anyway, so we'll see. I'll be trying to upload a video once a week now, just because I think that these like 1 week sprints, while they are very tight and require a lot of effort, are just really good to kind of push me to move quickly, since I have a very ambitious timeline for the game and I really want to be pre-alpha testing soon, because the faster I can get to like full 5v5 matches and just play the whole game, the faster I can really assess like what works. Is this game even good? Like, do I want to pursue it, whatnot? So yeah, I'm really hoping to just move quickly and have kind of all the systems in the game finished soon. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next devlog.